These 3 ClickUp lists will help keep your coaching business running smoothly, prevent things from slipping through the cracks, and help you bring in more clients. If you're new here, I'm Sam. I'm a ClickUp and automation consultant, and I help online businesses do more with less time. Be sure to like this video and subscribe if you're interested in learning how to make your business more efficient. The first one is going to be a marketing list. I'm using this general term because there are different ways that you can market your business. A lot of you are probably using social media, so you could also call this a content list, one of those things. I have it within a marketing folder, and I do have a couple different lists in here, and I'll talk to you about them. But having a main content list is going to keep you so organized and change the game for how you're managing your content. So I'm going to start at the top and just say you really need to figure out what is going to make the most sense for you and your brain. Different people manage tasks in different ways within their heads. I like having things in one place. If I have to go to a bunch of different lists to find things that I'm looking for, I feel like it takes me 10 times longer just to find what I'm looking for because I'm jumping around. I'm like, I can't remember which list I put this in. So having everything in one list really works for me. So my main list is this content one here. And I'll go more into detail, but I differentiate by this column here saying what kind of content it's going to be. And then I have some automation set up based on if there's next steps needed for those things. I'll go more in depth in that in a moment, but if you are a person that wants to break it up by which platform, so this could be like YouTube, this could be Instagram, and have everything in separate lists, you can do that. I have done that in the past, but like I said, I realized I was spending a lot of time hopping between lists and I didn't like that. If you do have those separate lists, a way for you to see everything in one place is to go to the top folder view, and you can see all the lists that are within this folder and all the tasks that are within those. For me personally, I didn't love this view, and you can, decide which columns you want to show here and all of that. I didn't love this view, so it works best for me to have this one content list. But it is possible to see everything in all the lists in one place if you do want to keep them separate. I do also like having a marketing initiatives list here as well, so that I know what I am planning in the coming months. Like if you are a person who launches, this is really, really helpful to plan out how you're going to schedule your month, schedule your content around that. Let's say, for example, we'll say this is warm up and then we have launch. So let's say I want to warm up my audience for the next 2 weeks. I'm going to have my start date for Monday, and then right after that, I'm going to launch that following Monday for, let's say, a week. Then if I go into my calendar here, I can see that this is in my calendar. And right now it's just in the planning phase. But if I were to change this to in process, it would change the color and kind of let me know that that's currently set in stone. That's what I'm going to be doing. The planning stage, I kind of just use for, okay, this is what I'm thinking about doing. And then when I'm in process, that means, okay, that's happening. And then when it's complete, I mark it as complete. That is really helpful for content, like looking ahead. What do I want to promote this month? When do I want to promote it? Why am I promoting it? Those kinds of things. I like having this marketing initiatives for that reason. What's amazing is I can go again to my folder view and see my planning initiatives for what I want to be posting about. And then I will also be able to see my content in there as well. Super helpful. So I can plan what's going to be posted each and every day based on what my plan is. Now, what I normally do with my content is I have the due date set for when I want to make it by. And then I have this published date planned here. And in the calendar, you can see that. So published date, you'll see that there. Obviously, this is overdue. But published date will show there. But then once I am finished making the content, I'll change my due date to the published date and it'll show in the calendar as that date. Like I was saying before, it will show in here as the day that it's going to be posted. Here is how I kind of use this folder. So we have content ideas. This is like kind of just a dropping spot for an idea I have. And I drop it here. And then once I'm like, okay, yes, I'm going to use that idea, then I will bring it over here. And I have an ideas section here as well. As you can see, that one's also very long. I try to kind of differentiate because we'll have so many ideas throughout the day. It's hard to know right away if this is going to be a good one or if you're going to use it. So I try to differentiate with that at least and have those separate. Once they're like more solid, I move them into my content list. And this is where I start deciding, okay, so is this going to be a reel? Is this going to be a TikTok? Is it just going to be a photo? If I do a reel, a lot of times I will also move it over to TikTok. So I have that little space for that here. Due dates and publish dates. I have tags for what they kind of talk about. So like I've changed this quite a few times, as you can see. Essay reels was how I was differentiating the content plan. I didn't love that. So I've moved away from that. Not a big deal that that's still there. This personal was the content pillar. And then this is kind of still content pillar, ClickUp build, all of that. So I've started using them more for content pillars to kind of differentiate, okay, like what am I purposefully talking about in this content to help me differentiate. So I use tags for that. If I'm initially going to be posting it on Instagram, I sometimes like to differentiate if I will also be posting it on TikTok. For this one specifically, I did not. So I put NA there. Idea is the stage that it's in. And I sort this stuff by stage rather than status because as often as possible, our statuses should be to do, in progress, done. Simple, to the point, and that's not always what makes the most sense for what we're working on to see it in that way. So what I'll do is I'll make a stage column and make it more of all the different stages that a piece of content could go through rather than having that be my statuses, because it kind of is a status, but at the same time, it's not. Is it to do? Is it in progress? Or is it done? And this isn't quite as simple as that. So that's why I have that set up there. And then you'll see to do, in progress. If I have a creation task, you don't have to have this one. I just like having that. And then posted is when I've posted it. So that's done. Keep it super simple. It makes it much easier to transfer to different lists like I fairly often do. It's just a more simplified way to know what status you're in with your content. Then this is something I just started recently, having the caption over here. I most often will write it just in the description area, but I've been playing with using this caption section over here simply because it is easier to copy and see what has written. So I've been playing with that. I've also been playing with this one, and this is to put a link to the content after it's posted. I haven't done that, but it's a good idea to keep links to your content. It's a good way to stay organized. It's a hard thing to remember, but I'm trying to get better at it. And then problem, again, this kind of falls under what genre or like what content pillar I'm working on with the specific piece of content. This answers what problem it's solving for my potential clients or the people looking at my content. So I just started using that as well. That is something new in this list that could be super helpful for you. Okay, the next list that you absolutely need is a lead management list. And this is going to make it so that you are keeping on top of people that are interested in your services and you're not letting them slip through the cracks. You're not letting them go months without a touch base. I've worked in this sales portion of coaching business for 3 years. So I know how easy it is to lose track of people that you're talking to. I have this coaches and lead management template. You can actually purchase that down in the description if you want this exact thing. And you can even get my support with setting it up. So I'm going to walk you through quickly what this looks like. So leads, we need to keep track of them. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. And this is how I found the most useful way to do this. And I've tweaked this and changed this a lot over the years of using this process and having tons of different people coming through my system. First contact. This is when they're coming in, they're talking to you, you find them on Instagram, whatever it may be, and this is your first contact with them. You want to gather as much information as possible. So again, I have this sorted as simplistic as possible. So active, not a fit. This is again a subtask thing to click off. You can always just do regular closed if you don't like that. And then filled out application. And filled out application triggers something. If you do buy the template for this, I have a more detailed walkthrough of how to use this and how to make it your own. But this is going to be super quick. So active is when you're actively speaking to them. We have a due date. I usually use that for the next outreach. Assignee, if you have a sales team, which if you're watching this, I'm going to guess you don't yet. Something to look forward to. You can assign people leads to different salespeople. You can see your leads, how many leads are in each stage. You can assign it to different people and kind of keep track of the stages that each person is in, see how many people are in each stage if you need to do anything to move that along. You put their IG handle in, latest comment. This is one of my favorite things of all time that I don't see many other people do. And what it does, how I kept track of my people was I would write comments about the last conversation we had, what we talked about, any information that might be useful for me to check in with them. And that would help me know when I go back to revisit that person, and if you're talking to a lot of people, what we talked about last and how I can follow up with them to make it seem like I'm not just trying to get them to give me money. So I make my comment and it shows up here. So I don't have to like go in, look at the comments, whatever. I can quickly see, okay, latest comment was this, awesome. Let me go message that person and see what's up with them. Instagram, Facebook, IG, blah, blah, blah. Followed me. If you know what date they followed your Instagram or whatever, put that in there. It's nice to know for how long they're in your universe before they purchase with you. It's good data to have. Location, where you're talking to them. Goals, what goals they have, their email, if they have any excuses, and then what their challenges are. These are different things. Then I use in conversation for if we're going back and forth. Warm shows interest, like if you've actually started talking about your offers, and then ghosting if they've stopped replying. The other list. So I have automation set up on here, or if I change them to filled out application on here, it moves them to the sales CRM. From here, it's pretty much a similar setup. So again, super simple statuses. And then we have our stages, filled out application, of course. And then discovery call not close, ghosting. We have a lot of the same stuff here. However, we do have spaces for their application information that comes in. I kind of consider the leads and sales CRM the same, like lead management type list, even though they're separate lists. Then the third list, I'm considering this the third list because although they're separate lists, I consider them within the same genre. So this is the third list, okay? All right, so client management, very important as well. Making sure that your clients are getting exactly what they need. Nothing is falling through the cracks, because happy clients means referrals. Referrals means less work on sales. And we love that. We want to have happy clients. We want them to tell all their friends. We want them to get success and see all of the things that they dream of. We want to make sure nothing's falling through the cracks for them. So here we have a client management list. We have onboarding, current client, offboarding, and past client as our statuses. I know I've said multiple times that it should be to do, in progress, done, but this kind of is just using different words. So onboarding is kind of to do, right? And then in progress, current clients, I consider offboarding kind of in progress too. And then done is a past client. So it's just different words. And look, this isn't like one way is the best way for every single thing, okay? As often as possible, you want to keep your statuses as simple as possible. That's all we're trying to do here. Continuing on, we've got our onboarding, we've got tasks attached to that tell us exactly how to onboard that person. All of their information should still be in their profile. So their profile should be going, profile meaning their task with their name on it, should be going from leads to sales to clients, and keeping all of that information so you have all of that data in one place, and you can look back and be like, wow, I really love this client. What brought them in? Like, why did they need me? And then you can compare that to other clients. Like, any of these clients have anything in common? I really liked working with them. A lot of times that's the case. They do have things in common. So it's good to have that data. It's good to see what words they use for why they're reaching out to you for marketing. Having all of that data in one place is amazing. So not having to search everywhere and keeping everything in one task throughout the lifetime of that client is going to be super helpful. Then once you've onboarded them, they're a current client, we have tasks to check in with them on a regular basis. What I used to do for my clients is I used to write down like what I said to them, or like what my suggestions were to them in the comment section. So that's how I would keep track of what we've got going on. And then I'd also often leave like notes that they're like going on vacation or something like that in the description section. We want to, of course, say which program they're in, and you can automate a lot of this. So I'm really just going through what the base need is as far as a list goes. If they're offboarding, obviously you have certain tasks that you need to do to offboard them. You want to make sure that they aren't in any of your programs still, if it comes to that. And then once they're offboarded, you will move them to a past client. And if they were a client that you would work with again, then set a check-in to make sure that they're still doing okay. And a lot of times, if they're not, they'll come back around. I've had many times where I've reached out to past clients and they're like, you know what, haven't been doing my best, could use your help again. So always good idea. Kind of takes them back through the sales process, but they're a little bit easier to sign back on and you don't really have to do as much. So I just like having this check-in. And again, it's just nice to check in with them and keep that relationship and be like, how are you doing, friend? Love you. Miss you, especially if it's someone you enjoyed working with. Okay, I need to know in the comments, which list are you going to implement first? Until then, I'll see you in the next one.